Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to this channel. My name is Chris. I'm a full-time creative entrepreneur, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my biggest mistake I made in entrepreneurship. And this is all the way back to the beginning, because this is something that has been present through my entire entrepreneurial career until now, because the universe is like, Chris, we can't let you do this anymore. We're going to put you through this lesson. And through this lesson, I want to share this with you because I think it's a similar mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make, because even though we're building different stuff and doing different things, from like being a full-time creative to building a brand to launching an e-com store to whatever the heck your startup is, there's going to be this mistake that might show up in your life. And if there's one thing I can tell you, is don't create the bad habit early. Start with a really, really solid foundation, because I didn't have this person in my life, and that's what I'm going to share with you. And before we go too far in the video, what I want to do is share with you what that mistake was, and it was lack of balance. I had this all or nothing personality, and I thought, and honestly, the scenarios in life that I had kind of put me into it. And in my mind, I still had the opportunity to create balance in my life, but what I didn't do is create balance in my life, because let me give you the backstory here. This is very important. Is I left my job as a nurse as a 9 to 5, so that's $60,000 a year. One day I was just like, I'm done. And even I said I was done with this after I finished a nursing contract that was bringing in $2,000 a week. And I was like, at the time, I was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's be a full-time creative. We got money saved up. And what I didn't calculate was how fast that money would be burned by essentially building a business and starting my full-time career as an entrepreneur. And I was so naive, but with that instance of just cutting my 9 to 5 and jumping into entrepreneurship, I had one thing on my mind. We need to make money, and we need to make money fast, which I think is the ultimate key to failure. Because instead of, hanging out with friends, having fun, relaxing, spending money on things that I wanted to do to relax and get away, like go out and eat, take vacations, take trips, everything that I'm doing now, I didn't do because, one, I was scared that that money was going to burn out and I needed to create an income source. So what I did was the exact opposite of what I just shared with you. I doubled down. I worked every day from sun up to sundown. I literally remember living at WeWork in Kansas City. I almost think I asked them if they had a dorm that I could just stay up there, or a bed. I lived up there, and I just, anything I do, well, we've changed that. Anything I did was just focus on work. Work, 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 work. My whole day revolved around the company I was building at the time called Alpha Omega Fitness Network. That ended up failing. And then we pivoted to that one, and I was working harder and harder and harder just to make ends meet with my roommate, who was my business partner, and we were just working. And then I didn't burn out until a few years ago, but it's that foundation has followed me into my career. And it was earlier this year that I started noticing why I kept burning out. And it was just because I had no work-life balance. And then in the midst of finding it this summer, I created a vlog called the Work-Life Balance Vlog as a means of a solution to essentially learn how to balance my life. But it's crazy. This actually took my life way out of balance, because I was creating a weekly vlog on YouTube that was so demanding of my time, and then I had to go out there and do other stuff to create what I thought was entertainment. And before you know it, I was like, oh my God, we just burned ourselves out even further when I was burnout. And then that's when I really started to pay attention to this pattern, and I was like, where does this come from? What is this problem? Why do I just obsess and zero in and only focus on creating stuff? And it was because essentially I wanted to get out of this state of poverty, and I wanted to essentially create freedom and find that thing that I could do every day. But in doing that, I was actually pushing myself so far out of balance that I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, the secret here is actually work-life balance. It's what can I do to set up times that I'm focused on work and I'm giving it my all, but I also understand now that I gotta have breaks and I gotta have days off. I gotta take time off when I'm starting to feel burnout. I need to double down my self-care. Essentially that first 7 years created the foundation of everything that I'm sharing now, which is why you guys are probably watching this content and are like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need to hear, because I didn't have somebody telling me that. The voice in my head is definitely my dad, and this is, you guys might even have this, from growing up. Before, I had a very strange childhood. instead of like being able to socialize and hang out with my friends and do stuff on the weekends, like my weekends were a lot of work. Like we had 20 acres, I was putting up fences, I had cows, I had pigs. I mean, my weekends were literally like, I can remember this. I was like, hey, Dad, or, I'd ask my mom first. I was like, hey, Mom, can I go over to so-and-so's house? And she'd be like, ask your dad first. And I was like, oh my God. And then I'd ask my dad, I'm like, hey, Dad, can I go over to Nick's house and stay the night and play this weekend? And he's like, no, you got work to do. And then, even like taking that to another level, I remember like in the summertime, we had a pool, we had 20 acres, but before I could even like go into the pool and do anything, what I had to do was like go to the garden, pull weeds. I had to mow the lawn. Like I had a list of chores that to me now feels pretty excessive. And it taught me the foundation of hard work, don't get me wrong. And that's like a big key to who I am as a person. But it also created this, I want to say this wound in me, or this like, this knowing, I don't know, I wouldn't say knowing, but this sensation in me that I was like, before I can have fun, all the work needs to get done. And before I can have fun, I gotta have money in my bank account to have fun with. And essentially now I've like debunked that entire story or that entire mental foundation conditioning in my life. And now I've essentially been rebalancing it in the sense of like, in order to work harder, you need to have more fun. Before you can work, you need to have fun and bring balance into your life. Before you can work, you guys kind of get the gist, is like I flipped it. And that's a big key, is like flipping these things that kind of cause us pain and havoc or like derail our lives. And it's flipping it 180 degrees and essentially doing the exact opposite. Because if you think about this too, like this pattern in my life of obsessing over work, working hard every day and only focusing on work, endlessly has caused me to burn out. So if I want the opposite of that, we got to focus on self-care. We got to focus on having fun. We got to focus on doing things that bring us joy and happiness in order to work harder. And if we don't balance that, we're going to continually burn out. We're going to fall on our face and we're going to burn out, and we're going to be like, gosh, why is this so hard? Why is working today so hard? It's ingrained in me to work hard. And it's just that lack of balance. And lately, even through, day 19 of my YouTube challenge, like on day 19, or whatever day it is when this one gets posted, is like since I started my 75-day YouTube challenge, like I actually started using this app called Toggle, which is a game changer. We'll do a full episode on this. But I've been tracking this from a community that I'm in, and I've been tracking like my sleep, my self-care, work, personal branding, YouTube stuff, working on, WKNDR Collective. And I've seen this cool phenomenon from it, and I feel really good right now. Like I feel like the best I've felt probably in a year or two. And it's seeing the biofeedback from this app, because if you look at it, I don't know where my phone's at. It's in my pocket. I can pull this up right now, give you the real lifetime feed here. It's mind-blowing to see the chart that now the highest percentage of my life. So this tracks daily stuff, and you put a start and stop on it, and then you can itemize it and break it down. So the categories I did was sleep, self-care, personal branding, weekender, driving, prep, cleaning, teaching yoga, and YouTube, like the main foundations of my life. Okay? So sleep is actually my number one priority, and I've been sleeping to recover from burnout about, what's it been? It's probably been, about 10 hours on average, I would say. 10 hours of sleep a day on average. And then beyond that, and that's 43% of my daily schedule for the last, 4 days I've been tracking. And then self-care is number 2 at 33.17%, which has been sauna, cold plunge, going to the gym, going for walks, relaxing, taking slow mornings, like all this. We'll do a full video on how to recover from burnout. And then personal branding, which is 8.83%. So that's my brand byCHRIS. So that's like agency work. This would be considered byCHRIS stuff. That's the next. So that's number 3 on the list. And then number 4 is my startup WKNDR Collective at 8.28. So what you'll notice is sleep and self-care are about 76%, 77% of my life right now as I'm recovering from burnout, because I'm finding balance for my day. And then work is actually 16, almost 17%. So you can see even like the balancing, and in order to recover from burnout, you got to flip to self-care heavy and then come back. But overall, guys, I would say my biggest mistake as an entrepreneur was lack of balance starting off, and for the first 7 years. Like all I did was I had this mindset that if I continue to work hard every day, put all my time and energy and focus on what I'm doing, I'm going to be successful. But that is not true. what is true is if you do that and balance out the rest of your life with fun, with pleasure, with hanging out with friends, with taking time off, with relaxing, with working out, like it's truly the art of balancing everything and learning how to be ultra successful in balancing. And when you start to essentially lose that motivation in work, that's a sign that you're out of balance and you need to do other stuff to balance it, whether it's take a day off, go for a walk, or start building in, fitness into your routine. Maybe even scheduling in time to relax and do nothing. Like that's something I have to do. And that's a big takeaway here is like, I have a hard time relaxing and taking time off. So what I tend to do is make it my job to take the day off, make it my job to take time to relax, because now it's like not something that I get to do, it's something that I have to do. And if I have to do it and I'm good at working and I have a good work ethic, then I make that task the job for the day, the job for the next 3 hours. And creating that foundation and container as a whole has like brought me a ton of recovery from burnout. And in seeing that, and even where I'm at now too, I'm like, all right, we're in the recovery stages of burnout. What my old tendency would do would be, let's go back to grinding every day. We're charged up. We got the energy. Let's go. Just so we can be burned out again? No. So what I'm doing is going from a hyper self-care and relaxive state and balancing it back to the center. And this is another good tip. It's like, I've done this where I've worked hard and taken no rest. And now I'm doing a lot of rest while I'm, barely working. But we got to find that middle ground, because we went to both extremes of the spectrum where we're like, tons of work, tons of rest. Now we know what both of those like extremes look like. We can bring it back to center. And in the center, we can be like, all right, what is this? So this would be probably working 4 to 6 hours a day. Also matching that time with time off of rest, relaxation, completely detaching and unplugging from business, and doing stuff completely unrelated to being creative and in business, which, that's even the tendency I have right now. Luckily, it's getting nice out here in Kansas City, but I'm like, what do I do for fun? Because I used to, shoot photos and videos for fun, and then that became a career, and then I like to be outside and I'd adventure and travel, but that's turned into a career. Like everything I do is turning into a career. But then it's also like stuff like the other day I walked on a treadmill for the first time forever, and I was like, oh my God, I freaking love this, but I don't know how to do this in the wintertime. And it's just led me to this path of starting to explore different things I'm interested in. Something else I might get into is just jujitsu, just as means of working out, taking out anger and aggression, being around a community, and changing the way I work out. Because like, for instance, working out, I used to work out every day since being a sophomore in high school. Now I'm 33. But it's like, that at a point was a trauma response. And then once I got through yoga and doing some of my spiritual healing, I was like, I don't enjoy working out anymore. And I couldn't figure out why. But I'm slowly learning how to re-enjoy working out, but it's also coming in as finding different stuff as means to work out. Like you don't have to just lift weights to work out. Like you can do jujitsu, you can go for walks, you can do yoga. There's so much stuff to do. It's just learning to explore what means are out there and what means you can essentially kind of like play with to find what's going to bring you those feelings of like joy, happiness, motivation for when you do sit down and work. So overall, guys, hopefully this video is valuable to you, and hopefully you can understand like the true essence here is like, be obsessed and be focused with that one thing in your life that you really want to grow and change, but also know when to turn it off. That is the key. Know when to turn it off, when to put it down. It's still going to be there when you come back, but you have to literally put it down, turn it off, and allow yourself to do something completely unrelated to anything about it, and stop thinking about it, stop like obsessing about it, and just allow yourself to have time off, to take time off, because time off is actually going to bring you in more rewards than hard work at some point. There's going to be this point in your career as an entrepreneur and your side hustle where you hit this breaking point and you just want to stop. And that is simply not to teach you to stop doing what you're doing, but it's to teach you to take a break, take time off, let it go. Let the universe or God or whatever you call it, let them participate in what you're doing. Let them bring you the rewards of your hard work. That's fully stepping into the feminine of rest, relaxation, restoration, which completes the whole cycle of manifestation. Hard work, rest and relax to bring everything you want to fruition. Because if you don't rest, you're essentially just doing a bunch of extra work for no reason, and you're actually causing blockages to your manifestation by not resting. I know it's crazy, and it's like, took my mind forever to realize this, because I was like, oh, I need to work harder, I need to put in more time, I need to put in more hours, I need to do this is why it's not working, when simply resting, relaxing, getting away, disconnecting, doing stuff that wasn't related to work was the number one key that actually helped everything continue to scale and grow. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully, through my own stories, through my own knowledge, through my own wisdom, you were able to understand the importance of balance in your career. As I'd say, the number one mistake I made as an entrepreneur was lack of balance and just obsessing and zeroing in on bringing whatever I was building at the time to fruition. As I mentioned, mainly due to the scarcity wound of just like cutting my 9 to 5, having no income, and trying to make things work the best I could, which I would never recommend. And we'll create a video on what I'd recommend of switching from a 9 to 5 to your actual side hustle to make it a full time. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video and have a great rest of your day. Peace out until tomorrow.